Okay, we're live now. Um, so before I start sharing, actually, you know what? Let me just share for uh, like 1 second, really quick. Why does it keep doing that? All right, while I'm sharing, I think we lost someone. Okay, sorry. Let's just introduce ourselves before I start sharing to all the groups. And I will go first so that I could get myself out of the way. Um, the way we will introduce ourselves tonight is a little different. We'll talk about who we are, what we do, our genotype, how many kids, and if you feel like comfortable discussing it, what their names are. Um, Hello, everybody. I'm Shabreon Howard. I am the co-founder and co-host of the Sickle Cell Experience Live. I'm also a filmmaker, photographer, writer, graphic designer. Uh, I wear many hats, but one of the most important one of all is being a mother of a 7-year-old daughter named Nyla. I know she's all over my page, so that's no secret. And my genotype is SS. And yeah, that is who I am. Dima, you want to go next?
Sure. Thank you for having me. My name is Dima Hendricks, and I am a mother. I am an author and jack of all trades, just like you. Pretty much do everything, but I'm proud to be a charisma health coach. I'm very honored to be that. Um, Able to help other individuals with sickle cell in a health coach capacity. Um, and my genotype is SS. I have two boys, and that's about it. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Nikita?
Hello, I am Nikita Connor. My genotype is SS. I am the owner of Sick Apparel and Accessories, where I create merchandise for those who have sickle cell just to get awareness out. I am a mother. I have one daughter biologically that I had, and I have two bonus babies. So they are 12, 10, and 9. So, no, 12, 28. I'm sorry.
Awesome. Okay, Nathaniel?
Thank you.
I don't know if your phone is breaking up
Can
or
you hear me?
a little
Can you
better.
hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, got these earbuds in. Should I take them out? Is it bad?
No, no, no. If when you do that, it actually I can hear you. I think it's your hair.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I have two kids, son and a daughter. Uh, I write, got a cleaning business, work, and I do a little bit of everything. But my favorite thing to do is being a dad, so that's what I do.
Really?
Really, my favorite though.
Mm.
Dad. My life is boring, man. Don't act like you don't know.
One would say my life is boring, kind of, from outside looking in. A little
So
bit.
many other things I could think about doing and being a dad. So
But you do it well. So since you're talking, how about you introduce yourself?
oh yeah, so the thing kicked me off or whatever. I had to switch phone. But anyhow, my name is Master Burt. I'm an artist from Chicago, Illinois, and I'm a father and a stepdad and an advocate for a sickle cell patient daughter. By the way, yeah, yeah.
All right. So
What's
I
your
know.
genotype, sir?
Oh yeah, your genotype.
Oh, they want them. SS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So we'll start off with a little slow because I don't want to just go fully in yet. Before each of you had a child, how did you feel about children? Did you want children? Did you think you can have children? Is it something that was like, oh no, or like, how'd you feel about it? Anyone can answer. Don't
I was letting the
Good.
ladies go first.
Yeah.
For me, I think everybody kind of has that dream of having kids growing up, but then your dreams kind of get shattered when you have sickle cell, because the first thing they tell you is that oh, you can't have children, or that's dangerous for you to do. So it then puts you in fear. And so for a long time, I did have that fear of having children, even though I wanted children. I just had a fear of having children because of what the doctors have always told me.
Dima?
So I'll have pretty much the same answer. However, I was a little bit more bold about it. I when they said to me, you know, it's going to be harder for you to have children, my answer was so I want babies.
Yeah, I didn't think I can have kids, to be honest. When growing up, I had this whole dream I wanted three boys. I don't know why why I did that. I don't know. But
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to those boy moms. I'm sorry. It's just I'm glad I had a girl. That's all. But yeah, it I'll get into the pregnancy story later, but let's just say I didn't think it was possible. I'll leave it at that for right now. All right, men, it's your turn. It's your time to shine.
I had. I've always wanted kids. Family
Look
man.
at you.
Uh, I didn't think I could have kids. Fine with previous girlfriend or wife, uh, and it just wasn't happening. So I just figured, fuck it. I mean, get it. It ain't gonna happen, and it didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't care to have any children at first. Yeah, I didn't care until like my 20s and stuff. I was like, nah, I'm all right. Then, like the end of my 20s too, it was like towards the end of my 20s, like when you deal with a woman and you think that that's the one. So then it's like all of a sudden you think you want kids, right? But in the beginning of my 20s, it was like so fun, and I'm like, why would I ever do that? I'm saying like that's crazy. Like I'm looking at all my cousins mess up their lives. Yeah, yeah. Well, it was that at the time, you know what I mean? I get to live like I was living freely. I was living free. Like I get to go wherever I wanted to go, and they like had to do like I had cousins that was like 17 years old. You know, he had a kid and all that. So I'm looking at that like, nah, that don't look like the thing to do. But when I did want them, and I actually tried to have them, I really didn't think that I could. And then, yeah, the rest is a Jerry Springer story.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
All right. So what were the moment you found out you were going to be a parent, or that you were a parent, not going to be, you were a parent, what were you feeling? What went through your head? Like,
I was excited.
you was excited?
Oh yeah, super
Yeah.
excited.
I think that
Friend, my future wife at the time, she was crying and all upset. I was like hugging her, and behind her back, I was like, yes. But that's me. That's my story.
Okay, cool.
For
I
me, I
think
was
initially that excitement comes in initially when you find out that you're getting ready to have a child, and then you're just excited. I'm about to be a mom. This is gonna be great. Then I think reality sets in. Like, oh crap! Like, is my be okay? Is she gonna be fine? Is it gonna be an issue? So I think initially it's a feeling, but then that worry kind of comes in until you figure out what's going on. So I think it's still happy a moment for people. Well, for me, it was still a happy moment.
Okay.
yeah,
Dima?
I was ecstatic. I was ecstatic to be a parent. Um, just to hold this little cute redheaded baby was just it was everything to me. I was
I will speak on this last one, which is my daughter. Um, I was scared. I didn't want to believe it. Um, Mostly because I took like two pregnancy tests and they both said no. Like, I was like 2 months when I found out I was pregnant, and at 1 month, like my best, like everybody was like, "Oh, just take a test," and I took a test and I wasn't, and so I guess I was acting a little erratic, and they were like, you should probably take another one," and then I took another one, and it was no, and then the last one said yes, and I was like, "Nah, it's messed up, like it's something wrong." And when I went to the doctor, they were like, "Yeah, you're actually, yes, you're pregnant." I was scared. I did not want, because I had two miscarriages prior, the year prior. Um, I didn't want the same letdown. I didn't want the same situation all over again. So I was very scared and anxious. I was a little happy. I think I kind of buried the happy because I didn't want, you know, I didn't want to like jinx it, I guess. So it took me by surprise. And since I knew like her dad had been tested beforehand, that wasn't the most scary part for me. So uh, I guess that's what I was feeling in a nutshell. How about you?
I was happy first. I was like really, really happy actually. Like I was ecstatic, you know. At first, like, and then like scared in a way. Um, yeah, cause like normally I had like I had a lot of little cousins, and I used to always keep, but you know the nervousness and the scared was like I ain't gonna be able to get this one back, you know, like. All of my cousins and stuff, I was able to give them back. Like this one right here, it's like I can't get rid of this one. So, and then I
It's
wasn't gonna
all
be no
yours.
deadbeat. So it's
All
like
me, all me.
I think that was why that was the fear of it, but the happiness of it was just like, you know, I had already been taking care of the kid. So then to find out that the kid is mine for real. So it's like, yeah, I'm happy as like hell because now I ain't got to deal with certain stuff, Like, yeah.
I had fears. Mine was more along the line of like once I got past the happy, am I gonna be here to take care of this kid?
Mm. Woo, that
Will I
part
be able to provide
sizzled in the spirit. I'm
for this
sorry.
kid? Is what kicked in after the happiness, and then all the trade came in after that.
Okay.
That, that was my fear.
Okay, so let's ask a little deeper of a question right now. How many of you on the live with me right now knew your partner's trait status before you got pregnant or look or
Oh, play
had
the
even the okay, all right.
I had no
Cuz
clue. I didn't know. Being honest, so I knew to ask those questions, but it was never a question that I asked, and I don't think that he. So I've been in relationships in the past where they found out after the fact that they had a trait. So I don't, and his mom never even knew that he had a trait because back then they weren't tested. But I knew and I didn't ask that question, but thankfully it turned out to be that. So
right.
I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't ask. And I never told people I had sickle cell either. So that person knew that I had sickle cell though, based because I knew it for a long time prior. But um, yeah, I didn't ask. I was like literally when I tell you, I was just living. Like I didn't think I was. I didn't first off, like I said, I didn't think I could have kids. You know what I'm saying? Because I had tried in my late 20s, like with a particular person, like I really wanted a kid. So I'm like, if it didn't work, if it didn't work when I'm trying to, like, it's I can't, like, it's probably me. But then it was just like when I was just living, period. Like I wasn't asking people this, I wasn't asking people that. Some of these people I wasn't even know, like they wasn't my girlfriends. Like I was just wild. Just being honest, like I was just wild, and like I was living like I wasn't gonna make it to the expectancy date, to the expectancy age of sickle cell. That's how I lived through my 20s. I lived through my 20s like when they told me, I
I
think
know that feeling.
they told me like 30, 32 or some junk like that. Like I was living like 32 could be tomorrow. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so that's how I was living.
Much
So I
fun as
was
possible.
going places. I was doing whatever I wanted to do. And the reality of it is that doing what I wanted to do was really, it wasn't like I was wild street wise or nothing, but I was wild as far as females.
In the cheat.
I was wild. Man.
Okay.
I cheat. I feel that.
Well,
My
I understand.
sorry.
Nope. I was just gonna say I understand. Because with my child's father, the first time I got pregnant, it was kind of a like, let's see if I can get pregnant. We didn't take it seriously um, at all. We didn't think like I just didn't think it could happen, and I was like, let's see if it can. And he was like, okay. And then we were together, so I don't know. We tried it, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, you should get tested." But by the time I got pregnant with my daughter, I had already known he didn't have trait at all. So that was I guess the moment of okay. But I get it.
Definitely should
I
consider
get
it.
it, Master. I feel you.
But
And
I
when you deal, go ahead, bro.
oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll say when you deal with a person, right, and you've been with this person for years, right? You've been with this person a couple of years, and y'all are really, really, really trying, right? And it never happened. It's like never a miscarriage. It's never an abortion. It's never I think I might be. It's never none of this, right? So when you're dealing with a person for years and you're doing it in a way that kids is gonna come, right? And so and it never happens. The furthest thing from your mind is like, oh yeah, I'm finna deal with this chick for like a week, and you know what I'm saying? Like it then it's gonna happen like the next week. You don't think about that part. You don't think about that. Like you don't think about like, oh yeah, like this just like a weekend type thing. Like this ain't my girl. Like this really just a situationship.
All right,
Yeah,
Scissor.
My
yeah,
I'm
I,
sorry.
that's
my
true. Like you don't think about that.
I never really thought about getting my wife tested. Like, go ahead and say it. My wife is white. Don't everybody turn against me. It wasn't. I'm not one of them dudes that don't mess with black girls. There's a girl before her that I was trying to get pregnant. My wife is white, so I never even thought about getting her having sickle cell because when I was young, we were told white people have it. When I was older, nobody. I would have probably got her tested then. But so it was never a question of whether she would have sickle cell. I never thought about crossing my mind.
Did that change for you when you got older though? Like as you started learning that white people can have sickle cell too?
That's
Yeah,
my next question.
yeah,
Yeah.
Look,
definitely.
we all on the same page in here.
Yeah,
Okay.
white people can have sickle
Definitely.
cell too.
Well, when I was young, that wasn't the story. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm 40, about to be 42. I was growing up. White people didn't have sickle cell. That's what you didn't know these things like that I know now. You know what I'm saying? As I got older and researched, learned things, I learned that white people can. And I remember when I first found out, I was like, told my wife, I was like, dude, you could have had sickle cell, then we would sit here fuck. I mean, I'm sitting here messed up because I'm having just regular conversation. But that's I was blessed I, for her to not have a choice. I would have never known.
Okay. Um. So I hear a whole lot of I didn't think I could have kids, right? And for reasons like, oh, I tried or, to no avail, so I didn't think it was possible. But was there something that the doctor medically said, oh, this is the reason? You know, you may or may not be able to have kids. I mean, of course, sickle cell, but like for me, I was on hydroxyurea when I was young for a long time. And then so my hematologist told me like it'll be extremely hard for me to have kids. It's not possible really. Don't even consider it. And so I really just gave up my three-boy dream and was like, okay, I'll raise my cousins and I'll be fine with that. But what about you all?
No one ever discouraged me not to have kids. I think the issue arise when I was actually showing, well, my second pregnancy, when I was showing more complications. Um, and I was like, oh, I'm having this baby, and it didn't. The complications didn't mean anything to me because I was bringing my husband's namesake into the world. That was like that was it. That was pivotal for me. That meant a lot. But during the time, my OBGYN, the doctor, he was like, he looked at me and he was like, "You are so strong. I can't believe you're doing this." all the while I was having issues with my placenta, and the baby wasn't. There was times where she would stop breathing, and I would have um, other complications. But they would just like look at me in amazement and say and just ask like, "Are you sure you still want to go through this? And are you sure you still want to push your body to the limit?" And I said, "Oh yeah, let's do this." Um, Even though I was considered very, of course, we all consider when you're pregnant with sickle cell, you're considered high risk, but I was willing to go through it. And I didn't have, I had a very supportive team though, so I was lucky.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
I wasn't told because of any other specific reason other than sickle cell. Like I did take hydroxyurea when I was younger, but I didn't stay on it long. But I was just told that it would be very difficult for me to even conceive a child, and it would also be difficult if I did conceive a child to deliver that child, or my child wouldn't be healthy, or I was even told that either me or my child wouldn't make it. So it wasn't never that one specific thing other than sickle cell. Like they just discouraged me having a child specifically because I had sickle cell.
Okay.
I was told, I was never told not. They just put it in my head. Wanted to train.
I can't.
You're
I
going
can't hear
in.
you. Yeah, it's going
Oh,
in
I'm
and
sorry.
out.
I was never told not to have children. Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Hey, I was never told not to have children. It's dangerous. It's just more or less make sure the person doesn't have sickle cell on the tree. You don't want to pass it on to somebody. They hammered that in my head constantly. That was it.
Right.
Is that possibly because with the men not carrying the child or going through the crisis phase of that, then they give you a different discussion than they give us as women that actually have to carry the baby, go through the delivery, and all of that. So it seems like it's a little bit simpler for you guys than it is us actually having to carry the baby and go through the
Oh yeah.
crisis and
It's
all of that.
for us. It's just pretty much watch out what clubs you shoot up. That's pretty much the conversation.
Watch
Is
out, what?
Yeah,
watch out what clubs you shoot up.
yeah, yeah. Y'all have fun. Y'all have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shoot up the
pretty
club
much.
and
Have
done.
fun. Just
Yeah,
just make sure the clubs you shoot up don't have sickle cell in it.
yeah.
That's
Right.
it.
Make
That's
sure it's
pretty
not a
much the
sickle
conversation.
cell lounge or nothing like that. You know.
Yeah, make sure there ain't no. Make sure it's not a sickle cell club. You know, you can shoot up any other club you want, just not that one.
There's a couple.
Okay.
They could I ask a question?
Yeah, and we have a few from the audience, but go ahead. Ask your question.
So when y'all giving birth, like, do y'all go into crisis? Because that's a lot of stress.
So it depends. For me, giving birth was easier than having a crisis.
Come on now.
I could believe it.
Okay, I'd rather have 10 babies than go through a crisis. So
I mean, your
like
question.
with my first child, um, he was natural. Like I didn't start freaking out until my water broke because I didn't know what the heck that was because it was just
Yeah.
everywhere. But when I was in pain, like I was having contractions, you could see the monitor go up, but I'm chilling. I'm like, oh, that's okay. And my
So
son's
you
mom was
used
like,
to.
yo, D, yo, that's the highest contraction. And I'm like, it is? Okay. So when it was time to have him, I'm like, I thought I was going to the bathroom. I'm like, wait, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta, gotta move my bowels a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm pushing out my baby's head. I'm like, Okay, so he's like, I'm pushing, and there the doctors are getting dressed, and I'm like, oh, I thought I was going to the my bad. I thought I was going to the bathroom, and he's out.
Oh
So
wow.
so
You
I
had
See,
to
I've
went,
always wondered. I've
yeah,
always wondered, like, is sickle cell? I know crisis stuff. I was just always wondered, was that pain comparable to child?
it's worse. It's like sickle cell's worse, and I'm sickle cell is way worse. And the thing is, because of the for me, the umbilical cord blood that was attached that kept me from having a lot of crisis. So me, when I was pregnant, I was healthier than like as soon as I had the baby, like about 4 months after I had the baby, I was sick again
Mm.
Oh
because
wow.
and it was the umbilical cord blood that kept me going.
I never would have thought about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
that it's like as you get some women that has that same story as you, Dima, and then you have women like me who have horror stories for their pregnancy. But
I think I'm
I'm
kind of
glad.
in between. I think I'm more of an in between story because it wasn't horrible as I expected, but it
Mm,
did get bad. So
yeah.
it's like I was like in the middle, but I did go into crisis. I ended up having my daughter 3 weeks early. I went into crisis the night that I went to the hospital. They were like, "We're gonna take your baby," and I'm like, "No!" I'm screaming, I'm crying, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, and I'm like, I knew it was early, so no, don't take her early. Like, what's going on? I'm in crisis. Let's deal with that. And so they dealt with my crisis, which was probably one of the hardest crises I probably ever had, like
Mm,
at that time. And that took me over into having her. So I still ended up having her 3 weeks early after that. But the crisis throughout the pregnancy, I didn't have. I was in the hospital once, and then that would have been my second time throughout my whole entire pregnancy. Now I did go to the doctor weekly, but that was I only had two crises throughout my whole pregnancy.
mm, yeah. See, my story is a little different. I ended up having to have a C-section because I got preeclampsia. I had preeclampsia. But I was having contractions and I
Mm.
didn't feel anything. I was the nurse came in. I like kid you not. The nurse came in. She looked at the little paper that the little paper, and she's like, her eyes get big. It's long, and she's like, "You don't feel this?" And I'm like, "Nah, but my legs hurt." Like I don't feel anything that you're talking about. But my pain. So it was different, and I definitely had a really hard high risk pregnancy. I was probably the healthiest I had been in my adult life when I first got pregnant. My diet was changed. I was Presbyterian, so I just ate like mainly fish and veggies, some chicken sometimes, but not really. Maybe turkey, but I didn't eat red meat at all. I didn't eat pork at all. I had a really healthy diet. I did a lot of exercising, but it didn't matter because it's not that it didn't matter. I think it did help a lot. Um, but I still became very ill. I had gestational diabetes. So I was at appointments like 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes between the high risk, um, doctor, between my regular OBGYN, between the nutritionist and the diabetes. I can't the specialist for the diabetes. It was just a lot. It was a whole lot, and it was very scary. But she made it. She was fine. Okay, let me be clear. My daughter was fine. I wasn't. I was the one that just I no, I was not. But it definitely is a story that a lot of other people can relate to. I just don't want people to be discouraged by it. I want to go to a couple of the questions, but the first one I want to answer because it relates to what the story that I was just telling, and I plan to talk about it just a little bit. So, on the subject, Annette Williams said, one doctor even asked, why bring a baby into the world that might have sickle cell? So, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I got sick. I was 10 weeks pregnant. I got sick, went to the ER like a normal, uh, you know, sick patient would. And the doctor saw that I was pregnant and told me I was selfish, told me that I should abort my child, told me that my child would be sick or wouldn't make it or have a dependency on medication. Basically telling me I was gonna have a crack baby. And it's not funny, but it's like all the stuff he said to me, the first day he said it, I kind of like let it roll off my back because I had reached a point in my pregnancy where I didn't take things people said to me so seriously in order to keep my peace. So the first time he said it, he got a pass. But then the next day he came in my room with the same talking. And I made a decision right then and there. I could have fired him as a doctor, I could have cursed him out, or I could educate him and challenge him. And it's exactly what I did. So, in doing so, I told him, like, I challenged him as a doctor. I said, if you think my child is going to be born with all these problems, if at all, why don't you help me? Why don't you help me have this baby, have a healthy child, and not look down upon me and think that you could talk to me this way? I did read him his rights, but I didn't
I was
do it
wondering.
in a way where, I didn't disrespect him the way he disrespected me. And in the end, he was very helpful and honestly really pivotal, sorry, to actually, he did things that brought me to a healthier point, even though I was going through so much. He ordered oxygen for home, it changed the game. Okay. When I was pregnant and I needed oxygen, and that was the difference between me being sick for a week and a couple of hours. Um, and also he fired my hematologist and sent me to another one. He also fired my high risk doctor and sent me to another one. All better choices, better options, better doctors. And he also made it to where when I would go to the hospital, which wasn't very often, I would go home with fluids and to stay on oxygen and stuff like that, so I wasn't going through any withdrawal or anything like that. So I just had to tell that story because I know you get discouraged and the doctors say, oh, you shouldn't. But I don't see you, Nikita. I don't know why. Let me see. But yeah, you just kind of gotta you gotta be stubborn and hold strong to who you are and what your beliefs are. We also, Matthew, can you read the other questions really quick? Because I'm trying to let Nikita back in.
Mm, 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 mm. I know Lena had asked a question about insurance and
It is good.
did you all's insurance cover everything as far as your pregnancy went?
So that depends on the insurance carrier. It depends on who covers. If it's like a state insurance or like a Obamacare situation, there's certain things that might not be covered. If you have like top tier insurance, like your Blue Cross Blue Shield, of course, there's like co-pays associated with it, but it's just like any other insurance.
As a sickle cell warrior, being high risk how would you rate your pregnancy on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, Lena?
Okay, so I'll answer that. I was the first pregnancy. It wasn't predicated on being high risk that made it. I think it was like trauma associated with my first pregnancy that made my first pregnancy kind of like a 4 or 5 in certain way. But as far as like my health was concerned, I think my first pregnancy, I was like I want to say like a 9 or a 10. Whereas my second pregnancy was a little trickier because I had to have a C-section. The baby stopped breathing, so because I didn't have enough oxygen in my body. It was a good experience, but I would rate that a 6 because I got cut open, and it was a little bit scary.
Shay?
Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out why is this not letting. I will rate it a solid 9.5, 9.5. Only because it was just so many ups and downs and just I'll say 8. I'll say 8 because I was really sick and like I said I was, but Nyla wasn't. My daughter was fine. So I think that kept me going through everything I was going through to know I was the one that was taking the heavy end, but at the end of the day, she was totally and completely fine. She came out totally and completely fine. So it was worth it.
Oh, she said 10. I'm sorry, you said 10 being the worst.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, let me flip that. So first pregnancy, I'll give it a 2. Second pregnancy, I'll give it a 3. Okay.
Are those low numbers?
My first pregnancy was a 0.
I was gonna tell you next.
He said she said 10.
My first.
She said 10 being the worst.
Okay, well, my first pregnancy was probably a 7 because I got some.
What was it for you? The contractions?
What you call it? I got those sympathy pains, and they suck. But my second pregnancy was a 0 because I didn't have no sympathy pain, and I was fine. All right.
How did the contractions affect you, Nathan?
Fix it back now.
That's what I'm saying. I got sympathy pains with my son. Like
did your wife ever like spaz out on you like crazy, like just go crazy? Cause I know, I remember she used to check, or she checked you that one time. Did she ever spaz out on you like crazy?
Like when she was pregnant?
Yeah.
Yeah. She used to have moments.
Okay, so since the men are talking, this is a perfect time for you to talk about your experiences. You kind of were already, but I just wanted to make sure you guys are staying on subject about your.
Nikita?
Huh?
Answer the questions. Answer those.
Okay. Yeah, answer the questions and then we can go.
As a sickle cell warrior being high risk, how would you rate your pregnancy on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst?
My pregnancy, I would probably say maybe like a 7. Now my labor, that's a different story. My labor, I would probably say like a 10.
Oh, do y'all stay in labor longer?
I was in labor for 17 hours.
17 hours, that's it? What about
you said that's it? That's a lot.
He said that's it.
What? That's hard. That
What
was
about that,
17
Let's
boy?
see
long
you go through
hours.
labor for 17 hours and see how you'll feel.
And then I was
Prices.
going
We do that for
natural.
days.
I was going natural and got an epidural. Epidural never started working. They gave me something else, which ended up in the end making my nerves and my
Oh, I
legs
got a question for y'all.
bad. So I couldn't walk for like a week after the epidural. I didn't see my baby until the next morning
Okay.
because I was under after everything finally took effect. And had to have a C-section at 9.5 centimeters. So it was a long 17 hours.
So I got a question. So look, right. Being that you all take stronger pain medications, right? And especially being that you all take it through IV. Do you all
No
think
question
that
out there.
like that did that minimize like what they were giving you it for the pregnancy? Like did it make it
I
not
believe
feel
so. I think so because, like I said, my epidural never worked. They gave me that first shot, then they back and gave me another, and then
Mhm.
they gave me something else. And I, honest to God, cannot remember the name of it. I know it. I think it started with a T, if I'm not mistaken, but I cannot remember the name of it. So
Corridor.
my heart
Cortisone?
rate started dropping. Her heart rate started dropping. So at that point,
Mm.
they were like, "No, you have to have a C-section."
Yeah.
And I'm freaking out. My mom's freaking out. At this point, we just it's a scary situation. So they end up taking me to have a C-section, and again, that stuff never took effect until afterwards, which ended up knocking me out, I guess, because I didn't see my daughter until the next morning
Look at that.
because I was so
Okay.
out of it.
I had another question.
Do you hate even letting us all answer the first question?
Yeah, I was just waiting. I was just waiting. I was waiting. I'm just saying. I'm thinking. Like I gotta remember.
Dima, you want to answer it?
Said you wanted me to host Shade. Now I'm in
Okay.
question
Hey,
mode.
I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying.
Now I'm in question mode.
The drugs that I took for labor and during labor and delivery were much lighter than the drugs that I have during my normal sickle cell
Oh
crisis
wow.
because the pain is
What up?
the sickle cell pain is for me
Way worse. I agree with that.
way worse.
It's the black top.
So,
Each crisis is different, but each crisis, one crisis might not be as worse as the other. But overall, I think that sickle cell outnumbers pregnancy like any day of the week.
yeah.
So I shared this to my page, and I just want to say that if anybody is on here, is in my family or my friends and in my page, did y'all hear these women? They're saying that the little the labor is less than the crisis. So now y'all should know the amount of pain that a crisis is, at least
Though
somewhere in the ballpark. Like,
seriously though, there was a gentleman that was shot in the head and like I think he said in the leg. He said he'd rather be shot again than have a sickle cell crisis.
oh
That's
no,
crazy.
Feel that.
Yes.
I'm
Sickle
sorry.
cell. He says sickle cell hurts more than being shot. Let's just put it. Let's just keep it funky.
Yeah.
I think
No,
And
too.
nah,
The sickle cell is the biggest thing with sickle cell that is unexpected. So it's an unexpected shock initially. Like you could be doing something and all of a sudden you go into crisis. So you have all that going on at one time. You have that shock of sickle cell and the pain from it. So it just an overall bad situation. So versus being shot or just getting a random like everyday pain experience. I think sickle cell just outnumbers all of that. Me personally, that's my opinion.
So, did you ladies still take like the opioid pills while you were pregnant, or?
that was my next question actually.
Oh, okay. We here.
I wanted to see was y'all scared that it was gonna be that those drugs was
Terrified.
gonna, not that those
Terrified.
drugs was gonna
Okay.
leave our kids on the like.
I actually told my doctor that I did not like the well, I went in the hospital in the beginning of my pregnancy, but I didn't know I was pregnant at that point. So I didn't really consider that as a crisis during my pregnancy. But the first time I went into crisis while I was pregnant, I was crying. Like I probably cried so much like I couldn't sleep because I was scared that my child would be feeding off of that medication. I was scared that that would be harmful to her. I was just terrified. I didn't want it. I needed it, but I didn't want it. So I took the bare minimum and I was still be in so much pain, but it was like either me or her. And that was just a decision that I made. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna have to deal with it. They monitored me, but it still was just like a hard situation because you're in a lot of pain. Then taking regular Tylenol, Tylenol does not touch sickle cell pain, nothing whatsoever. I'm like
So
Tylenol, I'm eating that like it's Jolly Ranchers or something. Like those were not helping me
That's
at
what
all.
they gave me that.
yeah, I definitely tried my best not to take them. I would only take them when I reached a certain point
Yeah.
of pain. Like if it was like right now, and I think I still do it from when I was pregnant. Like right now, I'm in a bit of pain, but I haven't taken anything because I'm not gonna run and rush and be like, sometimes when you have that pain, you kind of you fear it. So as soon as you feel like a little twinge, sometimes you're like, oh, I should take some medicine so I don't get worse. But when you're pregnant, you really can't do that like
You
that.
think twice.
I
You think
mean,
twice when you're pregnant.
yeah. So it was only to the point where I'm like, all right, it's here. Like, okay, the pain is like, what's up, Shay? So then I would take something. And then when I went to the hospital, they wanted to try to just give me morphine, but morphine doesn't work for me. So they were like, "Oh, we're going to give you 10 milligrams every hour," and I'm like, You might as well give me Dilaudid because what's the difference at this point? You guys want to give me? They pretty much wanted to give me 10 milligrams of morphine versus 2 milligrams of Dilaudid, and
The
it was
lot
like,
is a different type of animal though, man. The lot is
like
I don't
so.
I
like the
can
Dilaudid.
understand.
Dilaudid
Lot
gives me
a
bad
lot is
headaches.
pretty much it's pretty much
The
heroin,
lot
so
is
that's
heroin, so
probably
it's
why
like
they want to keep. Yeah,
But
so it's
it's
like
morphine
a
heroin,
doesn't
real
so
work
so it's
for
like
me. So what am
yeah,
I
but
to do? And then it's like I'm putting myself and my child's
At
heart
risk.
rate and everything else at risk because I'm trying to take morphine that's not touching my pain, and I'm also putting my child at risk by taking all this medicine that's still not working.
so did
I
they give you
literally
a lot?
tried
Did
until
they
I finally just I couldn't take it anymore. I was in so much pain. I was crying, and it was just like I'd rather you guys monitor me on Dilaudid than to give me all this
Something that's
medication,
not working.
and I'm still in this pain that is not good for me or my child. And so yeah, and so that it worked better because my daughter was not addicted to anything. She was fine. And I didn't go to the hospital very often anyway. So and I didn't take pills like that at home.
It's just the
So it
real
was
of the addiction of that drug, like the
Yeah.
realness. Like I'm telling you, like when I man, that shit, the devil, yo. Like straight up, like I think I had to tell him like, yo, like I don't want that no more. Like now I only get like 10 pills of Dilaudid because when they was giving me 60, like I found myself mentally needing it. You know what I'm saying? Like the more like I'm taking it or whatever. And then it's like soon as you stop, it's like in your head some like, oh man, my leg hurting. So it tell you to take another one. You know what I'm saying?
yep.
Then I'm sleep all the time. I'm not like I had to
I
go and
hate
tell
that
them people
feeling.
like
I hate it.
So
and
that
then
pain,
then the stuff that was going on when I leave the hospital off of that shit. Like the stuff. When I leave the hospital, like you thinking about crazy stuff and paranoid and man, nah, that stuff is the
That's the
devil.
part. That's the part
I
that
think
they
I
don't talk
don't
about.
Yeah,
I
that
don't know
stuff
if
is
I go
the
through that, but okay.
devil, man. Yeah,
I mean,
you don't go through it. You say?
I said I don't know if I go through the things you were saying like
Right.
that. Like I
I
really,
do.
like I said, I rarely take my medication.
Uh,
Honestly, I'm gonna be 100% right now. Till I moved to Texas, I didn't really take medication like that at all. Like I
yeah.
did medical marijuana, so I did not have like the dependency, I guess, that others may have. And I'm not saying that I'm not dependent. Is on medication, cell on any opioid is dependent upon it because you have pain, so you're dependent on it. But when you develop a emotional dependence on it, is different from a physical dependence in a way. Like you were explaining emotional, like you felt like every time you were not taking it, you felt something go wrong, and then you had to take it. Um, and
But
and I
even the
get
thought,
that.
even the thought of what I would go through with it leaving my system, like when it was like the withdrawal part of it, like when I used to stop like just taking it, especially so I never when I'm in the hospital, right, I never wean off nothing. I just leave. Like I
Yeah,
don't, they don't just give me, they
What I
don't
do.
drop
They
it
think
down.
I'm crazy for doing that.
That's what I do.
Yeah, but you got to think, right?
Literally think I'm
I take
crazy
one
when I tell
milligram.
them like, but I don't take morphine or Dilaudid at home. I don't
mm,
take either one of
Yeah,
those at home because
I
I
don't
don't
either.
like the way that it makes me feel. And
That part.
then being a full-time mom, I don't want to be druggy. I don't want to be sleepy or not attentive to my child or my children because I'm always on medication. So that's one reason
Yeah.
why like I don't. Like I'll take the hydrocodone and most of the time it's only when I go to bed. Even though I might need it during the day sometimes, it's
mm-hmm.
like, okay, you got to do whatever you have to do. I can't, stop living, and things don't stop because I don't feel good. So I'll just keep doing whatever I'm doing. But at night, I do pay for it. A lot of the times, I pay for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
all I
yeah.
take is hydrocodone because I refuse to. My doctor has tried to move me up to the law. I'm like, I'm not taking nothing that's gonna have me mentally and physically addicted to it. Like, I refuse to do that stuff. Like I'll take the law when I'm in the hospital because they can
Right,
control
But
that.
not at home.
I'm not going
right.
Yeah.
home with that.
Mm-mm.
I refuse.
Now,
Yeah,
my
Yeah,
hematologist
because
does
it's not
make
it's not
me
safe.
take a prescription home, but I never use it, and he knows that. Like he'll make me have it on standby at home. And I literally end up throwing them out because by that time they'll expire or they're no good or whatever because I won't take them.
and that was what happened.
It got to be like worthy to
That's
be able
why I
to do
said
that.
just give me 10. 10 should do. 10 to be okay. I'll be all right with the 10 or whatever, but even then, like I'm cool on that. Like I'm straight. If I have to take that, like I feel like if I have to take that, right, it's basically time to go in.
Yep.
It's just that
Yeah,
simple. Like that's gonna get me to go in
that's
time.
my mind frame as well.
Well, I will say this. I have kidney problems now. I used to just take like a what is it? Not an ibuprofen, but naproxen. I used to take naproxen
Naproxen.
or like an Advil or a Aleve or something. And
All those will have that NSAID stuff in it, don't
Yeah,
right, so I paid for that because that was like, okay, if I'm feeling pain, like y'all said, I'd rather not take the Dilaudid. I'd rather just take the light stuff, and then, but I paid for it in the end
yeah,
by doing that because it increased my chances of having um, kidney disease, chronic kidney disease. So now there are very few medications that interfere with kidney disorder. Like certain medications, you take it, it does not process out of the kidneys. It is not good for the kidneys at all. Um, and Dilaudid seems to be one of the ones that's not so harsh, should I say?
So I should
So
not allow my daughter to take the ibuprofen no more.
I mean, she's young, so I think if you just monitor it really closely and think about it like this, are you at risk for kidney disease? Because like,
Not
so
me. I know.
had kidney disease bad. Like she was on dialysis. She was really sick. My mom had sickle cell as well. So I think I was a little more, my chances were a little higher anyway because of that, because of that history of it, I would say. But I don't know.
I didn't
Honestly,
know about that
it's
part.
funny because I didn't take medication very much when I was young. I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't start going to the hospital until I think I was like 11 or 12. So it it's funny how now it's like you would think I was one of the kids that was just constantly sick and always taking medicine, and I wasn't. So I think ultimately you just really got to be careful.
Shay, I got a question for you.
Mhm.
Somebody got a question on here too.
You said that your mom had sickle cell. So
Mhm.
how was it for you to see your mother with sickle cell raising you, her daughter, with sickle cell?
Um. So okay. So how was it me watching her
But how was that
deal with
experience?
sickle cell?
Yeah.
It was hard. It was really hard because she was really sick. She didn't want to tell me everything that was wrong with her. Like I knew certain things. I knew she had kidney disease. I knew she had dialysis. But when it started getting really bad, and she had epilepsy and heart issues, I didn't know those things. Um, and I knew something else was wrong because her first seizure, she was driving, and it was just me and her in a car. But she managed to pull over, and somehow, it's the strength of a mother, I guess. And you know, things were. I knew something more was wrong, so it was really frustrating because I felt she kept me in the dark a lot. Um, it was scary sometimes, but at the same time, I could see the way that she would look at me when I got sick, and that guilt she carried
Mm,
because I was sick. Um,
mm,
I think it really it was something that was heavy on her that she didn't even talk about. And I think ultimately it helped me be a better mother. Not saying I'm a better mother than my mom, just saying my daughter knows everything that I don't hide anything from her. She goes to my appointments. She knows what type of medication I take. Like my daughter is like she is just my little bro best friend for real. And she is too smart anyway for me to try to hide things from her because I see it in her face sometimes when she's like, "Oh, mom, how are you feeling?" And I know I don't feel good, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm okay. I'll be all right." And she just looks at me like, "Why are you lying?" Like, so I can like I try my best not to do that to her, not to insult her intelligence the way that I felt my mother insulted my intelligence. I don't think she did it purposely. She tried to protect me. It wasn't to hurt me or just because she didn't want me to know. It was because she wanted to protect me. Of course, I think especially because she knew I had what she had when she so it was kind of like she didn't want me to feel like, oh, this is gonna happen to me too. And no, I already told you no 3 times today. Sorry, she tried it. She tried it live and in color. But other than that, I just honestly think that her death was a lot on me in general anyway. And it did. I mean, ultimately, it did make me feel like, oh, am I going to die at 25 like she did? You know, am I going to have the issues she had? But to this day, I'm 31 and I'm still not as sick as she was. So,
um,
there's a
some
lot.
someone has a question.
Okay.
Um, how is it dealing with sickle cell emotionally in the moments you have a full schedule or special moments, but you're in a crisis?
It's frustrating.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating.
Very
Like,
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
I'll be like in a full momentum, a full swing. For instance, I have a full schedule, or doing something with my son, and all of a sudden it's just like hits you like a ton of bricks. Or around Thanksgiving time when I'm like, I feel like every Thanksgiving when I'm cooking like my meal, making this big Thanksgiving dinner, and there's stress or there's somebody coming over, like that's when I'm in pain, and it's
it's
just
always
like
the worst time.
now I'm like not now,
Ain't it?
like not while I'm making my oxtails, not while
Ooh.
come on now, not when I'm putting my foot in this, when I'm trying to like you know raise my turkey and do all these good things and make my, you know, my good food. That's when everything wants to just shut down.
Yeah, I've been, I've been blessed. I always,
Can't hear
always.
you.
Like, I have a woman that was always involved, took care of everything. So if I was down, she would pick up the slack. And she was great. You know, now that she's gone, I'm stressed about not not being there. You know, they don't have their like it's stuff. I mean, freaking stuff. Sorry.
Sorry, I barely heard you. I don't know if anyone else heard
Yeah, it's
him.
like you're going in and
It
out,
breaks
bro.
up a lot.
Yeah, I was like,
It's
is
like you're
it
going
Oh,
me?
in and out.
Because everybody else was like they heard him.
Mm-mm.
hold on. Let me
I
just say
can't.
this thing. What I was saying was,
Oh no, that's worse.
No sound. No sound.
I know he was saying that that his wife he was blessed to always have somebody there that pick up the slack for him. I know I heard him say that she took care
Yeah,
of
I
his
heard
other
that part.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of heard that. Yeah, I get it from someone who at first I had a significant other and then now I'm a single mother. It's like I didn't have the, you know, I didn't notice how much help I actually had. Um, and I think personally, it's hard being a single mom in general. You know, it's just not easy. It's very hard. And I do a lot on my own. So it's all of it, everything. So if I can't physically do anything, it is definitely not a good sign. That's a sign that I need to enforce some help or get some help from somewhere because it's frustrating and I don't
can y'all hear me now?
independent person.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I'm an
Yes,
independent
that's
person
better.
and I don't want to enlist help sometimes, but I do sometimes, but it's just like it is hard. It's very hard. It's demanding,
You don't want to feel
and
like
I
a
wish I
burden,
could
and
just
I
call
think that's what
myself.
it is.
And that would
what
be
I
that.
what I was saying before was I was blessed to have a, a wife who was always involved, you know. So if I got sick or whatever, she was always there to pick up the pieces and keep everything together. And now that she's not here anymore, it's stressful, you know. Like my daughter's 15, and if she needs something, if I get sick, like who's gonna be there to take up that slack, you know? And it's just I don't know, it's stressful.
Mm. Mm.
I think I'm grateful because I do have like an amazing support system. Like I have had so many experiences where I've had so much to do or so much going on, and bam, there goes sickle cell out the blue, and I'm in pain. I'm end up can't do what I need to do, and I pull my weight, but they do it for me, and they don't boast and brag about it. They're not throwing it in my face. They're just there. They're supportive, like 100% of the time, and I appreciate it like more than they can even imagine. Like I truly appreciate it. I have that fear of not being able to be there with my daughter or not being able to raise my daughter because of course, I was told everything. I'm not going to live past a certain age. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. So those fears sit in, and I kind of like have it in the back of my head that it could possibly be at any moment, or you never know what's going to happen, and who's going to be responsible for her. Like, do I believe that they'll take care of her to the best of their ability? Yes. But at the end of the day, it still hurts like to feel that way or to even have those thoughts. Like it's a hurtful feeling. But I try to do as much as possible with her and get her, to build that relationship with her and that bond with her so that she will have those memories and those happy moments or whatever. And I try to not make her think about that because she knows it could potentially be to death, but I don't like her thinking about it. I don't ever want her like feeling like guilty because of what I have going on. And I think she does do that a lot because she's always, Mama, you okay? Mama, you good? Mama, Mama, Mama. Like she's always so protective of me. But like as a kid, I don't want my kid feeling that way.
uh, I so my situation is so my daughter is with me a lot of the time. Like she lives with me, and a lot of the times, majority of the time, it's actually just her and I. Um. So it's like I think the roughest thing be for me is when um like she wants to do something and it's something that I like probably can't do. Like I had also on my leg, or I can't swim, but she loves swimming. So I had to hopefully find somebody else or something. But another thing is just is when she want to do something and I probably actually be in pain. And it might be a little bit of pain, but I don't want it to escalate. So it's like, no, so I probably like, we'll do that tomorrow. We'll do that, a couple of days. And it'd be cool because, like she be understanding, but it just still be like to tell her that, like as a father, like as a guy, because you really supposed to be like the superhero, you know what I mean? Like you supposed to be untouchable as dad, but you really not. Like the beauty of it is that I don't have a whole bunch of crises, like is that I don't get sick like a lot. So I guess that's like the best part about it. But yeah, it's I could tell you this. It's her being with me all the time, like it really makes me look at like single mothers like way different, like way different. Like man, to be able to have to like even like right now, like getting her sign, like going to register her for school, going to do all of the things that need to be done. Shoot, doing hair. That alone, that alone right there is tough. Like sometimes I have to put out a little rug. I have to, the
Master, you do
practicing.
hair.
I will. I have, uh, I got a little, I got a little mannequin that I try to practice the French braid on. The French braiding is tough. Like French braiding ain't easy. I could do the little three part, but the French braid, oh, that's real. The parting is real. Like,
We
yeah.
have an addition to our panel. I just want to acknowledge Asia
How
Thompson.
you
Hi,
doing?
everybody.
Yes.
How you doing?
I know you've we've been talking for quite a while, so um but I know we've had like we've talked about our personal experiences and things like that, but I really want to get to like the nitty gritty about uh giving people out there who may be wanting to have kids or want to have more kids or are pregnant right now a little bit of insight. I mean, I know we've done that with our own lives, but I'm pretty sure there are things we may know or tips we may have for those people out there. Um, so, anybody want to start on the need to know tips? Oh wait, before we go there, someone has a question, really quick, and then we'll go there.
Hit us
I
with it.
saw one. Um.
Shaquana Miller.
Oh, where everyone is from? That was the question, right? So I'm originally from California, Los Angeles, but I live in Texas, El Paso right now, Texas. So yeah, I guess we can just kind of go down the line and say where we're from.
I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. Yes, there's Black people in Boston. um,
She said,
yeah.
"Can she be added?"
Oh,
Yeah,
say
as
that
long
again?
as you click the link in the comments, it'll take you straight
Unless
to it.
unless you're on your phone.
Unless you have an iPhone, then you need to copy and paste the link into Safari. Sorry, I'm so sorry, Dina.
Yeah. That's it. Boston, Massachusetts, born and raised.
Okay.
Me, I'm from Houston, Texas, born and raised Houston, Texas, all my
I
life.
just left there.
H-Town. Okay.
H Town.
I'm from Compton, California, born and raised.
Okay.
Okay,
Coming
Callie.
straight out of Compton. Represent for the Cali girls. Okay.
I'm from New Orleans.
New Orleans. I
Why
love the
you
way
say
people
it like
say
that?
New
I'm from
Orleans.
New Orleans. That
New Orleans.
was funny.
I'm from Illinois.
See, I told my daughter that people from New Orleans said like that.
But New
Not New
Orleans.
Orleans.
I know
Yeah.
Illinois.
Hell no. Nobody says New Orleans.
Or New Orleans.
New
Yeah,
Orleans.
just
No.
roll it. New Orleans. There you go.
New Orleans.
Cool. Oh, did you say, Master, where you were from?
Yeah, I'm from a town, Chicago Heights, Illinois.
All right. Now,
Mm.
tips for anyone. Tips or things they should know.
So,
About what?
so yeah, I can start. I can start.
I mean, I give you some
Um,
tips, but I don't know if it has anything to do with sickle cell.
It's about a pregnancy, getting pregnant, having a child, things
I,
like that. Let's stay there.
I would
Okay.
just say definitely deal with a specialist and somebody that takes all of your concerns into consideration. Um, because a lot of doctors, some of them won't They don't really care to hear your opinion. So if you feel like
Fact.
something is not right, then you have a right to question it. So don't fear talking to your doctor. Be upfront with them.
And you can always fire your doctor.
Come on now, say it a little louder
Please
for the people in the back. Okay.
fire. You are able to fire your doctor just because they have an MD and they're able to practice medicine does not mean that they run your life.
Come
You
on.
are entitled to a second opinion.
Yes.
That's it. Um, for that, but
Well,
it's
I would
beyond
go. Okay.
pregnancy. It's beyond pregnancy as well. You got
Yeah.
like the social emotional. When you have a kid, when you have sickle cell and you have a child with sickle cell or not, there's like some social emotional issues that happen just because sickle cell comes into play. You have to consider that as well because my children have been traumatized because I was sick and they have seen me sick and seen me at my worst. Then there's also the issue of me trying to instill legacy in them like way too early. I'm doing the most, telling them do this, do that, and they're like their brains overloaded because I'm thinking I'm on a clock
They give
and I'm
all the
gonna
life
die,
lessons.
and I'm trying to give them all the life lessons like right now, and
Yep.
they just can't, they can't process. Um,
Dang.
Especially my teenager, he can't process all of what I'm giving him right now. It's like the frontal lobe is not even developed yet. So we have to kind of pace ourselves, especially parents with sickle cell. We need to pace ourselves, even though we feel we're on a time crunch. So those are my tips.
I do that. Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
I do that.
I have
Try to
some
give all
things
the
to
life
say.
lessons away.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really have a tip on pregnancy. I mean, shoot for the back of the club. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
Shoot,
Mhm.
shoot, shoot for the back of the club. You're bound to hit something.
All right.
For the club. Okay.
Anybody else?
I mean, I just think that pregnancy is
I can
just
go.
beyond the surface.
I'm on it!
Sorry.
It's okay.
I think it's just beyond the surface. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna have a baby. It's gonna be all cute. It's gonna be, all the fun things. I think that with having sickle cell, you have to weigh out all your options. You have to weigh out the fact of when you're sick, who's gonna keep that baby? Like
Facts.
who's gonna be there for that child when you're in a hospital? Who's gonna, the
You
That's
muted
it.
yourself.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you just have to think about all those things beyond just having a baby because it's so much more than just all the little cute fun things that you think about. You have a lot more on your plate than an average person that's having a child. You have to think about, is that child going to be healthy? Are you going to be healthy? And then in your support system, who's going to be there? Because you're going to have people to tell you, oh, I'm going to be here. And then they're not there. Whether it be a parent or a friend or family members, not everybody's able to deal with that situation. So
Hmm.
that's just
And
another
and
thing.
also just to add to what she said, because we had this conversation the other day and it was a great point. Um, our kids, well, I know mine specifically, I'm not gonna, group anybody else in if it's true for you guys too, okay? But my daughter has really bad anxiety and PTSD and everything. Like she has really bad nightmares when I'm in the hospital. So it has to be someone who is equipped and that she's super comfortable with to even handle her, in that capacity while I'm gone, because it's something that when I was pregnant with her, I didn't think that that was going to be an issue. I didn't think, oh, she's going to have really bad nightmares and wake up screaming and crying out for me.
Do
I,
have that.
I didn't even, that didn't cross my mind, not once. So, that's something that you kind of got to prepare yourself for, because when you get that 2, 3 a.m. phone call in the hospital, you start to freak out a little because you're like, why is this person calling my phone this late? What's going on? And then you answer the first time, you're like, oh, okay. And then you have to kind of handle the
My
situation from your hospital bed. And it's a little difficult sometimes. So,
yeah,
That
but
is
you,
so true.
my kids
That
used
is
to
definitely true. I deal with
used
that
to stress
often.
out.
Like anytime I'm in the hospital, I deal with that. So that is something to think about.
yeah.
Like
My
the
kids
kids,
used
they deal with us being sick just as much as we deal with us being sick.
yeah, they
Mm.
used to stress my kids used to stress out like we passed if we passed by a hospital, they'd be like, Daddy, you sick? You going to the hospital?
It's
And
like PTSD. That's
yeah,
basically kind of what it is.
And don't go to the doctor and forget to take off your bracelet. Oh
yeah.
my,
Or your band-aid. Or your
oh
band-aid.
my God.
Mm.
Panic, sheer
I
panic. Like,
have I have 3 year olds and like my twins. Well, one of them he's like active, so anytime he see my bracelet, he's like, "Mommy, you
right,
went to the doctor?" And no, I asked him. I'm like, "Where was mommy?" He said, "Mommy went to hospital." I said, "I did." He said, "Yeah, you went hospital." And then he'll see something because I watch ER, so he's watching it with me. He's like, "Mommy, that's the doctor's," and I'm like, "Oh man, he's so smart." The other one, he don't really care about me. I'm like, "I'm home." He like, okay. But the first one that
He
talks,
don't
he's
really
like,
care about me.
yeah, he don't care. He go to the room, but then he'll recognize me. Then he'll just be like, all right, she back. Okay. But I'll tend to go when they like fall asleep. I try not to go when they're up because I don't want them to see me leaving. They'll start crying. So that way, when I do come back home,
I
they're
have
like
done that too.
looking at me like, when did you leave out of here? You put us to sleep. How did you,
Thief in the night.
manage to
That's what
go?
I
But
call it.
yeah.
Do you have
And
any tips you want
especially,
to add?
oh yeah, being pregnant with twins, I have that too. Like just tips for that. Like, just make sure you let them know, like, because I kept telling them my feet was swollen, so I kind of knew it was preeclampsia. I just kept telling them. They're like, "No, it just been swollen." I'm like, "It's been swollen almost my whole pregnancy," and they're like, "No, it just you gotta keep it up." I'm like, "I don't think this is something." So they checked, and they're like, "Oh yeah, protein." So make sure they check all those, the test results and see. And I had to have them at 36 weeks. So nothing was wrong with them. They didn't get addicted to the medication or anything. They was fine. They just wanted to check them for a week. And now they 3 years old and I'm pregnant now. So this one is this one's been kind of easy with them. I had hyperemesis. So
I
hyperemesis,
was
like,
about to ask that. Was pregnancy
it,
with twins
it's a
harder than
mess.
with one? Are you pregnant with
Yeah,
one?
it was harder. Yes, this one. Yes, I was like, because anytime they check, I'm like, "Are you sure it's one?" They're like, "Yeah, it's one." I'm like, "Okay, okay."
I can
Because
imagine
with
with
the
two,
twins, I'm
let
like,
alone one. So, well, one, let alone two.
yeah, they didn't get to I didn't get to experience my first pregnancy with one baby. Everybody was like, "You just got hit with two. Like, you had to learn with two." And I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, it was easy because once I managed how to deal with them, it started. I had a good support system, so they was very supportive. Anytime I had to go to the hospital, they're like, "Okay, just let us know. We'll keep them." This and that. So it's still like that to this day. They're very supportive. And now with this baby, it's like my blood's not low as it used to be with the twins. I used to have like fours, fives. This one is like six, seven. It's like 6 or 7. So I know it's one baby because with the twins it was like super low. So this one I know, and I'm not sick. I haven't been really sick
Did you
or feeling
require
like
blood transfusion during delivery or
yeah,
throughout the
they
pregnancy?
had to give me that because they said it was twins, so they didn't want any issues going on. And then I actually pushed both of them out. Like, usually with twins, they like say, "Oh, you have to have a C-section," but my whole pregnancy, I just kept vouching that I wanted to push them out because of my first experience. I was like, I want to get the experience. It was like, "Oh, we don't know." I was like, "I'm going to do it by God's grace. Watch." I was like, "I got this." It was like, "Okay, we gonna see." But the second baby, they're like, "With the second baby, we don't know because he like super small." And I'm like, "Oh, he's gonna come out right." So I pushed both of them out with epidural. They came out 3 minutes apart. Yeah, they were shocked because they're like, nobody at this hospital that have sickle cell really deliver twins like you did. It was like it's always C-section, or we have to do the forceps or something. And I didn't have to use anything. I just pushed them out. The second one, he just flew out. I was like, he just basically flew out. He was like a one push. Like I had to poop or
Is
something
that the one who said don't care about you?
because the first one was like, I guess, he was bigger, so his kind of like took a minute. But him, the second one, he just like kind of rushed through. It was like, okay, I'm here. So with this one, I'm gonna try to go for pushing it because I don't want to do C-section. I'm sorry, I'm scared.
Yeah, C-section is not nice.
I've heard. I was like, yeah. And then with the epidural, it's really true. Like your back hurts. Like mine still gets that little, like when you bend, you can still kind of feel where they put it in. I'll get the little pain going on back there because they did tell me that it would happen, and I was like, oh shit, it's still happening to this day. So
Okay. I spoke with uh Dr. Rowley of Cayenne Wellness about our subject for tonight, and she kind of gave us some tips to give to the pregnant or expecting or patients who may want to have children. And it lines up with a lot of things that I was going to say anyway. So great. Um, I will say, sorry. Um, First and foremost, make sure you get a high risk OBGYN and make sure they test for what is it? Placenta. Sorry.
Qualification. Yeah.
Calcification.
Calcification. There we go.
Good job, Dima.
So Shay
So
taught me. Shay, that you taught me, girl.
I know I just have moments where like words don't come out the way they're supposed to.
It's
So
only
I
it's
wasn't
only
even gonna
brain
try
fog. It's
it.
okay.
so with that being said, make sure that's something apparently that sickle cell women with sickle cell go through, and it is where you get so pretty much the placenta starts to deteriorate, and it's something you really need for you and your baby up until the 36th week. So if it's happening before that time, it's not a good thing, and they have to keep a close eye on it. So that's just something that I would recommend you thinking and making sure you do. Make sure if you planning to get pregnant, change your diet if you don't have a good diet because it's just easier if you have a better diet. And try to exercise. I know with sickle cell it could be difficult sometimes, but try to exercise, try to diet. Oh, number one tip is anybody who is not bringing good energy, good vibes, if they're low vibrational, if they are not, if they're bringing you stress and just dysfunction all up in your whole inner circle, you're going to have to reevaluate that situation. And 9 times out of 10, you really have to let it go. If you want to have a healthy pregnancy, especially with sickle cell, you have to let it go. Don't matter who it is, why it is, where it is. Don't feel bad about it. It's okay. It is okay. And maybe you just, push that person to the side for the time being if you don't want to completely let them go. I don't know why you. That's just me. Um, but it's a very good tip. And also, I went to a support group meeting before I got pregnant with my daughter. And this lovely young lady spoke about her pregnancy and how she didn't know certain things and certain things to ask for. So after she had her baby, she ended up having a stroke, and she ended up getting really sick. Um, and being in the hospital for a really long time because you know things just didn't go as planned, and they didn't take the extra precaution for a sickle cell patient. So when I heard that story, sure that I was in charge of my treatment. Like Dima said, you have the right to fire whoever. You don't, they are the co pilot. Okay. Really, they are the stewardess that come in and give you peanuts and drinks and stuff and help you make sure you land that plane right.
That part.
but that, but you're driving the plane. The plane is your body. Okay. So you want to land and you want to have a perfect landing. So you have requirements that you have to meet, and mine's were I needed a blood transfusion after I had my child. I was on pain medication immediately after I had her until like it was like the full day after because I didn't want sickle cell to be triggered by the trauma that happens when you have a child. And obviously I did something right because I was pretty decent after I had her. I was really good sickle cell wise. I did not have any issues. So I'm trying to think. Is that it? I said a lot. I think
I think that was a lot. Because of some of the things I think we talked about it on the phone the other night, that a lot of those questions that you asked were questions that I didn't know to ask.
yeah.
And I hadn't had the experience of someone sharing their experiences with me or anything like that. So it was a first time thing for me. So I didn't know what to ask. And I think I told you that the other day, like when you mentioned being on having oxygen for you at home. When I went into crisis the night that I was going into labor, I felt short of breath. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was having chest pains. Had I had that oxygen at home, that probably could alleviated some of that pain, and I probably wouldn't have went into labor early. But I didn't know to ask those things. I didn't know, what the protocol was for someone with sickle cell having a baby. That was all new to me. I've never seen them. I never met anyone, or I don't know any experiences of anyone. So it was, I didn't have those questions to ask. I didn't know. So, I mean, I think those are good points. And I didn't honestly think about the whole oxygen situation until we were on the phone the other night and you brought that up. And I was like, yeah, because I couldn't breathe. Like I felt like I was choking. Like I didn't have enough oxygen when I ended up going into the hospital that night. Like I literally had to call my grandmother on her cell phone, which we were in the same house because I couldn't. And then I was rushed to the hospital. But like if I would have knew that, it could have prevented a lot for me.
Absolutely. Um Anyone else have any other tips? I'm gonna leave mine at that. If anybody has any questions, they can inbox me. Other than that, is there any other tips anyone else has?
Yeah. Um, I think for the community, like it's like gotta understand that we need each other in a way. Like it's so many it's things that I've been through that some of y'all probably haven't been through. It's things that like people like crisis. I didn't know a person could have a crisis in their face until I saw somebody say it on Facebook. Like, but if we don't talk, we'll never know. If we don't interact, we'll never know. That's one tip is to just
Don't be
un-
afraid.
to understand that we need each other. Like, then on the sense of the men in the community, like, man, at some point people got to do like more, like speaking out more. At some point it's like we got to stop being antisocial kind of like towards each other, and we got to be best
Right. It
friends,
only
but
takes one.
And I ain't saying we got to be best friends, but it's like we just really have to do more because it's more. It's more fathers than this. It should be more. You know what I mean? It should be more that's speaking out about things. Now, um, there's fathers that have daughters, but their wife or girlfriend don't have sickle cell, so you'll never know like what you gonna do when your daughter go through that menstrual. Your child, your daughter, she has sickle cell. She go through a menstrual cycle. It's a different menstrual cycle than a lady without sickle cell. And then like to the mothers, it's like there's mothers with little boys, you know, but their husbands don't have sickle cell. What you gonna do when your son deal with pride pressure? Like but it's like we stay away from each other or something. Like we don't want to be a part of each other, and we all have the same stuff. It's crazy. So it's like
I want to
speaking out
piggyback
more
off
is
of what you're
big.
saying.
Hmm.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback off of what he was saying because is writing in the chat. I'm in the hospital at the moment with my 9-year-old, and when I got with my husband, his well, he knew a little about sickle cell because his little sister, who's 24 now, has sickle cell, but he didn't really know a lot about it. So it's like, us informing people and stuff about it. So then when I get pregnant and he's like, she's not gonna have it, she's fine, and then boom, we hear she has sickle cell because I'm a full blown, and come to find out he has the trait. So now we fast forward to in her life, and it's like I be having to have the doctors talk and break it down to explain to him because fight. But just like you said, like what you gonna that all of that happen now. It's your daughter that have it, but this didn't go through none of the stuff. Your wife have it, and your sister never went through the stuff that I have went through. So it's different. Like you said, everybody got to speak up and not be afraid. I feel a lot of people was afraid to open up. That was me in the beginning, but now I have a YouTube channel for me and my daughter. I try to come on to different platforms. I try to stay engaged and meet people, especially with kids. We could get together, do things with the kids, adult stuff like that, so that we all can stay together. And if nobody else can talk about it and let it be known, we ourselves going through this, we should be the ones to, put it out and stuff like that. No, it's not easy, but we got to be the ones to, start it.
Absolutely. I totally
I
agree.
agree.
All right. We have one more last question. This is for everybody here. Would you have more children?
Heck
I
yeah.
would, and knowing the knowing everything, I would, because I feel sickle cell was not a death is not a death sentence. Yes, we go through trials and tribulations, but I think in the world we live in, we always going to go through trials and tribulations. I mean, that's just me. Everybody is not me, but I've been doing good, and I'm 35. My daughter's been doing amazing, and she's 9. Everybody is different, but to answer your question for me, I would. I'm not, but I would.
I absolutely agree. I would too. It's
My
worth it.
when my wife died, that was kind of the end of that. I mean,
Okay.
if I ever meet a girl, I don't know. I have a granddaughter now, so I don't know about that.
No, I'm good, dog.
I'm good, love, and joy.
I think I'm good. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I don't think it's something that I would want to go through that experience like
Yeah,
that again. Like,
I'm not
I'm
but
gonna
I'm
opposed to
not
it
adopt.
either.
opposed to it.
I'm not
Right. I'm gonna
opposed to it.
adopt.
It's
I
just
just
No.
my
Uh,
granddaughter is
Right? No,
3,
but I'm not
and
opposed to it. But
it's
no, right?
going it's gonna
no,
look
Right.
like
it. It
I
would look
want to
real
say
weird having a baby with a granddaughter that's 3 years old. Like
Listen, we is in
that just look
2021.
weird.
Do you know what is going on in this society today? You talking about that being weird? Please. What about the mothers and the daughters pregnant together? Now
Right.
that's something.
Hey, I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm not adding to it.
My son's uncle is about 4 years old. Let's just say that. So
Yeah, I ain't
let's
trying
say
to
that.
get.
You're not
You
I
trying
ain't trying to
see,
get
I'm
in one
trying
of
to.
those situations.
to. Mm-mm.
I ain't
I
trying to
think
get
I
in
was
one of those
more
situations.
physically capable of running after a child or chasing after a child back when. Like now, as I got older, my body don't move the same. My body is not the same at all. I can't see
That's
myself
another thing.
running and trying to get after a little baby or anything like that. So I think
I
that's
don't
what
have the
my
same energy no more. You're right.
no,
That's
I
another
don't.
reason.
I do not have that energy I had 12 years ago. I
I'm
Yeah.
barely had
27.
10.
I'm
I
27.
would.
This is my
I
last.
would. I would have a like
Both of my kids almost grown.
if I meet somebody and she wants a child, then yeah, like, cause it'd be selfish of just because I have to like not get that person that. So I would then. But
See,
I
I'm
used to
with that.
want I used to want a master junior. I used to want a master junior. I wanted a son so bad the name master, but man,
See, I
just
got
didn't
my
Good
happen.
for
junior.
you. Okay.
I got my junior, and I got a daughter. I'm good, man.
My
Yeah.
husband wants a son, but we have three girls, and I'm like, you accept them, I accept them, and we're good. Like, I don't know. I can't see it.
Yeah, but
I just,
what if see y'all married and y'all been married and stuff like that. Like I ain't married and I ain't been married. And so it's like if I met somebody who like said that that's what they wanted, then yeah, I'm okay to it. I'm open to it. Now if she have kids, oh no, I'm gonna just take your kid and then we gonna be us.
exactly. That's
Okay.
that's that's who I'm
Okay.
If I met
Y'all
somebody that
answer
never
me
had
this.
kids, if I
Answer me
met
this. Is
oh
it evil that I want to adopt a child when my child is like 14 so that she she could be 'cause
No,
look, I had to raise my little cousins when I was like in my teenage years and I didn't want kids. So I feel like it is the best form of birth control to have to raise
not
and
to
have
have
a
a
child in
teenager
your
be in
house.
GS shape, Rion.
I do it.
oh my God,
I'm
with my
just saying, just
baby.
we got enough
So
love in us to
yeah,
adopt one when she
yeah,
about
why not?
14.
if I met a woman that didn't have any kids
I was going.
and she wanted a child, maybe I mean I'd probably be down for it because I would love to have another kid. Me and my wife were trying to have a kid before she died. I just I wanted all my kids to have the same parents, so that was always my thing. I didn't
Yeah,
ever
that's
want
probably ain't gonna
but
happen for me.
Right, I'd never have another
oh,
child.
I know it's not gonna happen for I know it's not gonna happen for you, bro.
Yeah, you know, you out of anybody know.
I know it's
I'd
not gonna happen
rather
for you.
paint the world with my tongue. Do you hear me? Before I do that. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay, I'm sorry. I was triggered a little bit. Bring it back. All right. I just want to thank everybody for joining and
Oh
giving
my
your
bad.
when you trigger talking about having kids with the same parent, I'm like, oh, don't do
That's
that.
enough. Trust me, I
Well,
feel you. I
this my
feel you.
last one with the same parent.
Don't do that.
Not happening.
So I just want to thank you all sincerely for being here, for giving your input, for talking about this subject because it's not a very much talked about subject, but it's really needed in this community. Um, I think all of us see the questions in the groups. So that's why I chose this to be the first topic because it's very relevant. Um, does anybody have anything they want to say before we go?
Yeah, I want to ask suggestions. So technically, I'm supposed to be the host, whatever.
You are the co-host. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Well, what y'all was talking about on the phone yesterday. I'm just saying. So now I got to get some guys,
Hmm.
and I would like to know as women what type of topics would y'all like for men to talk about, or just to be talked about in general. Inbox me those, by the way.
Okay.
I'm not gonna write on. I don't have a pencil paper like that.
I
Oh,
want to know what I want to know how it is. Your okay, it might be TMI, but I just want to know how your sex life is with sickle cell
oh,
and
it's
that whole issue.
Let's talk about it.
I just want to know
All right.
Let's
that.
talk
I
about
want to
it.
understand because I'm not a guy. I don't get the whole what's that thing
Did you hear
called?
the beginning of
The
this show?
how do you pronounce
Priapism.
it?
Right, Prism.
That.
I want to know about that.
Not that
I
big.
was
Well, it
surprised when I saw
depends.
that
It
question the
depends.
first time. Like I never really thought about that. That is interesting to know about.
How old is your son?
Huh?
My son,
How old is your son?
I have two of them. One's 18 and one's
No.
10.
Do anybody kids have sickle cell? Let's
Oh
say that.
no, no.
My daughter has the trait, but not the disease.
Oh, okay. Well, then none of y'all sons have to worry about pride prism at least. But it's real.
I heard
And
that
it
it's
sucks.
painful. I've seen people say how painful it is.
So it's bittersweet.
It sucks.
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet.
What about it?
Don't ask. Don't ask. Don't
Yeah,
ask.
I don't even know if I want to know.
Yeah.
You asking the wrong person about priapism, he's gonna tell you.
Yeah.
That's another
Bittersweet.
topic for another day, I guess.
It
Well,
Some
is.
that
people.
was my question. That was just my question. That's what I want to
Yeah.
know about.
Yeah,
A
I
prior
want to know
Prism
too, so
episode.
I'm with you, Dima.
It's not
Okay, I'll tell
horrible.
you this. Priapism, this is what priapism equates to. Say you have a moment when it's like a waterfall, but you can't use it because it feels like somebody's stabbing you in it over and over and over again. So it's like the greatest Eiffel Tower we ever have that can't be put to real use because there's bombs being dropped
That's
on it.
his thought.
I'm not gonna let him.
Now
He
I
on
got
some other shit.
questions. See, look, this is
We got
why.
put that on hold. Put that on hold. That's
All
a whole.
right. Because you didn't see my face. I straight said, wait, what?
Yeah, because now I got more questions. Now you see a waterfall. Like I'm just trying to visualize
I'm
that.
talking about
Like,
y'all. If y'all had like, say y'all had a day where it was like just raining, the
Okay.
greatest it's ever been. Like it's just an ocean
Your
down there.
organ is dope, but you can't use it.
You can't
K,
use it.
K,
For him.
Your organ is the best it's ever been in life, and you can't use it.
K.
oh,
Gotcha.
For him.
I'm good.
All righty. All right. So anybody else want to have anything?
Now
on?
imagine your organ is the best it's ever been in life and you can use it for a long time and it just come with a little pain behind it. You know, but you can
Say
use
go
it.
with a little pain.
Because the pain was gonna be there regardless.
that is
All
very
right.
interesting.
Wow.
All right.
Might as well keep it going.
So yeah,
man.
I will take it as no one has anything else they want to say. This is going real
Could you
left
imagine
real
what that
quick.
conversation
I'm
like when they
sorry,
go tell
Shay.
their girls?
I'm sorry,
Look at
Shay.
the
That
baby.
was my fault.
Huh?
What?
Oh, that was a baby. Nope.
What you say?
They said, what you say, Nathaniel?
Huh?
What you say?
What? I ain't gonna
Oh,
say nothing.
oh that's it.
I'm sorry. That was my
Okay.
fault for bringing it up.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, we didn't expect waterfalls and Eiffel Towers. It was, you know,
No, we didn't.
That wouldn't have
but
been
we,
Hey
my
you
man,
that
know,
wouldn't have
listen.
been my description, by the way.
it's,
Met- metaphors, man. Metaphors.
Wait,
alrighty.
I know on the flyer it said this was a series. So is it a specific topic that we're searching for questions for, or is this going to continue with the
Just
same panel, or how is
I
that going
like
to
I
go?
like her topic. We should do that next time.
well,
So,
no,
there,
parenting with sickle cell.
yeah, the series is parenting with sickle
It's
cell.
parenting.
So
Oh,
there are
that's
going to
fine.
be different topics. If anybody has any ideas for topics, it's still open. If you would like to come back as a panelist. It'll be how we doing it, Master? Is it every other Friday, every Friday, every once a month? What we doing?
Or we could do it like every other. We could do it every other.
Okay, every other Friday.
That
Every
works.
other Friday.
This pretty much came from like me and Shay. We talk quite often, and like um, our experiences as parents, it's kind of like similar. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's just she a mother, and I'm the father. That's really, but our experiences is and so we was like, why don't we talk about parenting? You know what I'm saying? Like her support system and things like just a bunch of different things that goes with parenting.
I think that the whole PTSD and the children's effects on us being hospitalized, I think that's a major topic. Cause like I was telling Shay that the other day that like that's something that I deal with often, like literally often, even on days when I'm not hospitalized. So I think that's a great topic, like to maybe even help somebody else, give somebody some pointers on how they deal with it. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think to me, I think that's a great topic to discuss.
I'm ready to
Well,
hold these men accountable. That's what I'm ready to do. It's too many.
absolutely.
I'm ready to hold. I'm tired of. I don't. Deadbeat niggas, man. It's the worst. Deadbeat
Just
stuff. That's the worst. Like it's so irritating.
just
I'm
make
ready to
sure
hold these men accountable.
if you have any ideas for any topics that you want to be talked about during the series, inbox me or Master, and we will try our very best to make that happen. And like I said before, if you are a panelist and you would like to come back, or if you're watching and you're a parent with sickle cell and you want to be a panelist, inbox
I
me.
have a couple I'll send to you, Shay, that people that reached out to me about being on the panel. I'll send them to you.
Oh
Okay.
wait, here's another good tip. Um, if you're a man and you have kids, and like I know Nathaniel is a hell of a father. I know this dude James Duncan, hell of a father. If you're not a good father, you come on here, you probably don't want to talk to me. It's probably gonna go bad.
You don't want to talk to nobody because we're gonna shame you. Shame.
Not shame, just hold accountable.
Oh no, I shame him. I shame the shit out of him.
Yeah,
Oh
hold
my
accountable,
God.
man.
Trash ass
Okay.
daddy.
Men need to speak up
Uh,
more.
can we
Yes.
Period.
can we
Yes.
do? So is the topic of like dating and marriage with sickle cell, would that fit in this whole parenting thing?
Um,
Yeah, I
it
think
can,
so
yeah.
because
Being
I
a
need to
single
know.
parent, a married parent, a parent. I mean, if you're a parent,
Well, listen, I need to know these chicks that I'm gonna have around my daughter, so it has to be within there.
yeah. It's the type of person I bring into my inner circle. That is what I think about first. Like, do I want this person eventually to be around my child? If the answer is no, then you can't go. So,
The difference between me telling my daughter, "Oh, that's just daddy friend," but daddy can have friends, but I don't really say, that's daddy girlfriend or nothing like that. Like I don't really do that.
girl, that's my friend.
And
Okay.
my daughter, she gets bro. You should,
Like
man.
old school. That's your uncle.
No,
Okay.
no,
Let's
absolutely
just
Nah,
not.
ain't no
No.
go
auntie.
ahead.
Ain't no auntie.
That's your
Stop.
uncle. That's your auntie.
Ain't no auntie, bro. It's either you daddy friend or she can't see daddy in a room with her friend, with his friend.
Okay, so that is the completion of today's topic. I hope everyone got something from it. It was so many jewels dropped. I really think people should have had their notepads in their pens. That's just my opinion. Um, but I thank you again, and I cannot wait for the completion of the series to see where it goes. And to the supporters out there, thank you. And I just want to leave you all with my positive words of wisdom, which is start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Until next time, peace.